All right. Miss Gloria Hyman.
Yes.
My neighbor.
Yes.
How long have you lived here?
I've lived in the area since 2007. That's when I purchased my house.
And when you purchased your house, what was the neighborhood like?
It was sort of rowdy, and we had no discipline or anything in the area, and police in the area quite often.
You and I met, actually we just passed our 3-year anniversary in October. It was 3 years, October 29th, that we had the first neighborhood meeting over in my front yard.
Okay.
In those 3 years,
I've seen a lot of improvements since Mr. Sinclair has been in our neighborhood. And he's sort of, we have a homeowners association of somewhat, I would call it.
so you understand that we started the Broadmoor Acres Community Restoration and Preservation nonprofit.
Yes.
You understand that the idea for BACRAP is to raise money,
Yes.
build new homes on the vacant
Yes.
lots that we've purchased, and to put families
And them that need them.
in those homes. And the idea for BACRAP is that we raise the money. By us raising the money and being able to build the homes ourselves, we can carry the mortgages.
Yes.
And the idea is to use those mortgage payments to fund a community center here in the neighborhood for seniors and kids.
Yes.
Would you like to see something like that happen?
Yes, I would. It's much needed. Yes.
We just celebrated our 3rd Broadmoor Acres Santa
Uh-huh.
recently. And from the first year to this year, you notice you got more kids over here on Broadmoor Drive?
Yes, we do. We do have more. We really do. When I first moved here, there wasn't a lot of kids. Not small kids anyway. There were a lot of teenagers in the area, but no small kids.
Compared to 3 years ago to today, would you say that in the last 3 years we've seen a decline in the number of people who were walking through, cutting through?
Less break-ins, less. It's just seemed like people are more interested in keeping up their yards, and they take more pride in them now. And with the help of the lights that you brought us, was a good thing.
So, do you feel safer at night?
Yes, I do. Much safer.
How would you feel if there was a new house with a new family living in it on the lot across the street that BACRAP bought?
It would be nice, rather than the lot just sitting there doing nothing.
Since you moved here, have you seen the city actually engage with the residents?
No.
Have you seen the city do anything for this neighborhood other than demolish houses?
No, I haven't. Other than I've been wondering too, in the back of my house there's a sort of a canal. It has not been cut or anything, and we're getting raccoons and everything in here now.
Well, on that one, I will apologize. I was cutting it.
I know, but I mean, before you started cutting, the city was cutting. They had the trustees and things, but nobody is coming now. And I can understand your part of it, but
Yeah, I will tell you that the city has taken the position that they're not responsible.
say what?
Yeah.
Supposed to be their property.
Well, technically, the property is yours.
Really?
Yeah, and this was something I was going to bring up. This is another project that I think BACRAP wants to, if we can raise the money and start building. The idea is these are utility easements in the back.
Oh,
7.5 feet
okay.
into that area is your property line.
Oh.
You can legally put your fence line
Back.
all the way back to your property line.
Really?
And the idea is with the drainage project that I have pushed the city to get underway here in the neighborhood, that would eliminate those ditches behind the houses. The idea is to slowly help residents move their fences back, level it out, fill it in so that you're not having flooding in the backyard. And at the same token, you don't have people walking back and through. But yeah, you're right. Since I had to get rid of my lawnmower and haven't been able to get in there and cut it myself, you're right. They have not cut it. But, and that's something that we will probably address. I want to get back to talking about the building of houses. Because you know it takes money to build anything.
Yes.
If someone asked you, walked up to you and said, hey, I heard about this BACRAP project. They want to build homes and carry the mortgages and build a community center. Is it something worth me donating to? Your opinion, how you feel, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I'd be willing to donate to it. I see it. If it's going to help my community, I see no reason not to.
Do you like the idea of putting people in houses that, one, they're in it as an owner, it's not a rental,
Yes.
they're responsible for maintaining it,
Yes.
under the conditions that BACRAP would build and carry these mortgages? These lots that we purchased had a lot of city liens. One of the conditions of our contract agreement with the city is that any of these lots built on have to be maintained as owner occupied for a minimum of 25 years, which means nobody can come in and buy it up and rent it out. Do you like that idea?
Yes, I do. I really do.
Do you think it would actually bring stability to the neighborhood?
I do. Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say before I tell you thank you and cut the camera off? Because I know you're dying for me to cut it off.
No, I'm just all with the idea, and whatever I can do to help, I don't mind helping you do.
I understand that, and I do appreciate that. Miss Hyman.
I love to see it grow and grow.
Well, I'm still trying to get the house for your daughter.
Yeah.
So it's been a process. You know that.
Yeah.
You know that the houses that I and BACRAP have managed to turn over into owner occupied, it's been done with private money. Unfortunately, I don't have access to an unlimited amount of private money.
Okay.
So for us to build the first house under BACRAP, we're going to have to raise that money to do it.
Well, if you take, what should I say, applications or whatever for somebody that's interested in getting a house, can they work toward helping with the, what can they do?
Oh no, yeah, and see that's part of, and I'm glad you brought that up, because people say, well, it sounds like you're doing a Habitat for Humanity. Not quite. Let me explain the idea and where the vision came from. I don't know how much you know about Tangelo Park, a neighborhood in Orange County.
No.
It was a low-income neighborhood. Graduation rates from high school were the lowest for any portion of Orange County. A gentleman by the name of Harris Rosen from the Rosen Resorts, Rosen Hotels, took it upon himself to get involved in Tangelo Park. He's funded college scholarships for the kids graduating high school to go to college. He has provided funding for daycare and pre-K and kindergarten in that neighborhood. And the kids have gone to school. They have their graduation rates are a lot higher. Young kids are taken care of. Parents are able to go to work. I would like to see something similar to that here in Broadmoor Acres. The difference in vision is all these vacant lots doesn't help this community as a community. And you know as well as I do, until we bought them and I personally got out there cleaning them up, they were simply just dump sites. The idea is if Broadmoor Acres builds housing, we put families in those houses. We carry the mortgages because that way you don't have the strict guideline. In other words, you don't put somebody in a house and they can afford their mortgage payment for a year, and then all of a sudden they lose their job and they're in foreclosure. The idea is to finance these mortgages ourselves, keep the mortgage payment low to where you don't have that foreclosure risk, almost non-existent, okay? Use the mortgage payments to build new homes on other lots, or as we build, the idea is 408 North Kentucky, over here on the curve. The idea is to build a community center on that lot, because it's one of the curved larger lots. The idea is, with a community center, it gives our elder residents a place to where they can actually gather. My vision is to actually have it built to where there's a long, rounded or V-shaped covered front porch with rocking chairs to where people can sit and gather. The idea is to have a community center that is funded through mortgage payments of the houses that we build. That money is used to assist with parents who have small kids and need help so that they can go to work. We would have an in-community daycare available that the community funds and pays for. It doesn't cost the city or the taxpayer anything. We have a facility to where we can partnership with the likes of SpaceX, Blue Origin, Kennedy Space Center, possibly even have our own robotics club in the neighborhood. Bring in the environmental, the marine biologists that we have here in the area, because we're on the coast, we're on the lagoon. We have kids in this neighborhood that are interested in biology, that are interested in the environment, or interested in animals, or interested in music. The idea is, with a community center funded by these mortgage payments, we give these kids those opportunities through partnering with these different businesses and organizations, and it's done over a period of decades. It's not just 1 year you have it, 1 year you don't. It's a community center that's funded for 20, 30 years through mortgage payments on these houses for 20, 30 years, that takes care of the neighborhood, that helps educate and raise our kids, and that helps give families a strong place to stand. So that's
what it's all about.
Once we get to the point to where we've raised the money to start building, yes, every family that is chosen to reside and actually move into one of those homes will be given the opportunity to work towards and help in that construction and in that.
Okay, and another thing, whoever the homeowner would be, if something should happen to them, their family can step in and stay. As long as they pay the mortgage.
Their families, yes, yes, yeah. If something is to happen, say one of our families, say we move a family in, with the agreement with the city, the land use restriction, meaning 25 years that property can be used for no purpose other than single family owner occupied. Say a family moves in and 10 years down the road, one of the adults gets a job offer in California. Okay, that house can be sold, but it can only be sold under the same guidelines as with the original land use restriction, meaning if there's still 15 years left on it, okay, it can be sold, they can pay the mortgage off, but it still has to be single family owned and occupied for the remainder of that 25-year balance. So whoever they sold it to, it would have to be a family that would in fact live in the residence, that could live in the residence for up to 15 more years before it could be used for any other purpose. That way,
sounds reasonable.
Yeah, and that way we basically, what we're saying is, the city's forgiving all these liens. We provide new homes, new housing, you know, at rates that the families can afford. It lets people get on their feet, stay on their feet, but it also builds community because it requires that the person living in these homes owns these homes for a minimum of 25 years. They can't be rented out. So you've got 2 decades to build a history and a family within the community.
Very good.
So how's that sound?
Sounds excellent to me.
So if I asked you to look in that camera and tell people who are seeing this video to donate to Backrap's construction fund, what will you tell them?
Please donate to Backrap Construction Funds. It's for this community. Hopefully it'll be for other communities. It'll be a training, a teaching community for the next community.
That's exactly what we hope to do. Thank you, Ms. Hyman, for your time.
You're so welcome, Mr. Sinclair.